teams, like what just concepts that every double team should have to have like a solid double team.
So it's really easy to improv over each other. We're like, we try to make everything, like all your moves connect.
Okay, so the first one that we actually talked about was symmetry. That's like one of the biggest ones.
I think that's the #1 biggest one. If you want to trade doubles with anyone, as long as you guys are both doing everything symmetrical, don't get off track of like asymmetrical stuff, your show will look just fine.
So like for example, like if I'm in the back and he's in the front, and we're doing stuff that are symmetrical, it just looks very clean, right?
And all we're doing is being symmetrical. That's all we're doing.
And we're just adding stuff to each other. Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you pull back, you pull in, and then he does something, right?
Yeah. Just
so
be symmetrical. That's
be very symmetrical. So our second point, which is probably something that not very many people know, is to stay connected. Because the biggest thing about having a double team is you're adding to the person's show. Like if I'm in the back, I'm adding to his show. I'm like an extension. I'm an extra arm.
Yeah.
So whenever he's doing anything, I really want to stay connected to him at all times.
I'm not even moving.
Right? I'm not like stay connected somehow. Because once you disconnect, it just looks cool.
You don't look like one unit. It's all about trying to look like a unit.
Stay connected and symmetrical is honestly the easiest way to just make a show look crazy.
Yeah, how look crazy. Because like honestly, we're just doing simple things, but we're just like putting it on top of each other. That's all we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. There are other general rules that really apply to double teams, like being slow, being clean, make sure your angles are good. So being slow is honestly something that we still struggle with.
Yeah. Well, being slow is very important because it allows you to read the other person like very easily. So like you guys don't trip over each other. Because like me and him, like we trip over sometimes, but it's been like a lot less. Just trying to be really slow. Like sometimes when he's giving a show, I tell him, Jimmy, you need to slow down.
Yeah, he'll like whisper it in my ear, and I'm like, okay, gotta like be really slow. Mm-hmm. And that brings me to the next point. Like some people, us as like individual glovers, we like to watch their face. You know?
Like,
do you guys like watch their face when you guys are gloving?
Yeah.
That's something that double teams can't do.
Well, you can do it a little bit.
You can do it a little bit, but watching your other person is more important.
Yeah.
Because you have to read him. You can't just be adding your own stuff. You actually have to add to his show. The back, most importantly, the back. You have to watch the show, like, which brings me to the next point. Thumbs and pinkies are your best friends.
Oh yeah.
He can leave his thumbs and pinkies out, and it kind of lays like an outline for me to like trace on. Even if he like brings it out, his thumbs are still out. You can grab his thumbs. You can add to his thumbs. You can like roll around his thumbs and then shoot out.
Shit.
It's honestly easy. It's generally the front would actually we'll get to that a little later. So we already said read the other person. And last general overview is
gotta find your homie.
You gotta find your person.
You gotta find your guy that you want to throw doubles with.
Right? You honestly have to like find somebody you really connect with, somebody that you'll hang out with, and actually talk about doubles with. You know,
because like I actually live with this guy. Like we live in the same house, so a lot of the time, not even a lot, like you know, like once a week, maybe even less than once a week, we'll just get together and we'll actually just talk. We won't even we'll try things like together. But like we just actually talk about like the theory behind it, like how can we just add this so it works with everything. So.
Yeah. So we have that was the general overview of like both of us like in one show. So we actually broke it down to front person and back person too. So since he's the front person, he can start talking about front.
All right. So I'm gonna get rid of the notion of front and back, and what we're gonna go into is what I call primary space. Right? So there's going to be a primary space and a secondary space. So you want to think of the primary space as like the center, like the focal point of your show. And a lot of the times when you're being primary, you're very stationary. You don't actually move around a lot. You try to make it so it's easy for your secondary space to add on to the show, like what I was talking about earlier. Also being stationary, you want to create planes. Like planes,
so for example,
like here's the plane,
right? So here's the plane right here, right? So that kind of lets me add something here, coming in and shoot out or something, or touch into this, and then you can probably add like touch somehow into another plane. So now you have a plane here that you can play around with. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
It was kind of like you make like a little dance floor for your secondary space.
It's like you build a house and he fills it with furniture.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. That's really cool.
You lay a foundation.
Yeah, that's it.
And then somebody just fucks around with your foundation.
Yeah. And for your primary space, a lot of it is you're gonna be the one who's doing the most signals because you don't move a lot. So you're gonna be the one like you'll be like throwing in spots. You know, like here's a spot, or like here's a spot. So I have 3 spots, right? And then he just works around it.
Right.
You know. So that's about primary space.
Let's see. So back is the secondary space. So if you're doing a double team, can you actually get down? Right. So this is the back. So generally, you're gonna have a primary space which is like this big, like of space. So this is where the primary space is. And double space is you have so much more to work with because you're the one that plays with the depth perception. You know, he's stationary and you're the one that's shooting in and out.
That's so true. That's so true. Because like as front, I don't shoot out that much. I kind of like just place it and just like be the core.
But then again, these are just general rules. Like it's not exclusively for the back to play with the depth. It was just more easy for me to do that because he was just stationary. But the front can actually play with depth too. So sometimes I would he would actually like sneak peek. We have this concept that we call monsters. So you guys heard of creatures, right? But we actually have monsters where he would do a creature. Right? He would do a creature, and then I would do something like this as a monster, and then I would guide his hand. Right?
That's sick.
And then you can.
Yeah, sometimes. Oh shit! Oh god.
Right? Yes. So, but the back is really like guiding the hand.
And that's adding on to being connected. You can only guide if you're connected.
Let's see. So back, you do most of the reading. I already said that. You're just supplemental to his show, and again, you can use depth perception.
Question.
Yeah. Question.
So I have a question for you because like something you were saying about leading, like the back person is leading. Do you ever say like, hey, okay, if we do a double show, I'm gonna have like a set motion pattern. Like I'm gonna move, I'm gonna set up in like a square. Like is that ever like a thought in your head? You're like, okay, I'm gonna move in a square rather than you leading, or is it more just like you give signs and then he reads you, and it's like a constant like back and forth?
It's like depends on where I am. If I'm in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, so if let's say I've never met you, never seen you glove, and I wanted to throw a double with you. The 3 things I would tell you is be slow. No, I'll tell you to be in the front because it's easier for me to read. So I'll be like, be slow, be symmetrical, and
Be in the front.
yeah, just be in the front. That's it. Slow, symmetrical, honestly, and that is it. And the back, the biggest rule, like I said before, was stay connected, and then the show will look beautiful still.
So it's easiest to like work on a grid basically.
Yeah. Let's see.
So again, like about front and back, I just want to add this. Also about primary space and secondary space. It's like the front like doesn't have to always be primary space. That's why I broke it down into 2 spaces instead of like positioning. Because like there are some times where like I'll be in like the middle, like in the primary space, right? And then sometimes I'll just pop out where now I'm in secondary space.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
And then I would act as a front person and then just lay the signals.
Yep.
Right?
So like that.
So you can switch.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it mainly for the
Concept.
like concept.